started working a 9-to-5 jobs. I remember I used to work at Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, Kodak, different jobs like that, but it wasn't my passion. And, I fell in love with traveling, but I didn't really have the funds to travel. So through a close network of mine, I basically met a close friend of mine named Webstar. He introduced me to a jet owner that basically had his own jet company as well. So I took the advantage of basically working for him for about a year, and I was like, you know what, this is something I wanted to do, but when somebody tell you from the Bronx that you about to jump into private jets, you like, private jets? You're not really fathoming that someone is out there really paying for private jet travel. So I got involved with the business. I started studying the business, started learning everything about the ins and outs of aircrafts, the size of aircraft, because I believe that if I mastered the ability to basically learn all information, I could speak to anyone about private jets and about private travel. So I started doing that. Fast forward, I basically had a connection with Justin Combs, which is one of my best friends to this day. And he was going to UCLA in Los Angeles. And he was like, you know what, you should come out here and basically, just take a leap of faith, come out here and see what you can do. And I'm like, all right. So I came to visit him first, and it's everything that you see in the movies. The big mansions. He had me staying at, Puff House, the big mansions and stuff like that. I was like, damn, this is real. You know what I mean? I'm like, coming from the Bronx, I'm like, damn, we see this on TV. We didn't think this is really real. So it was a blessing. It was a blessing in disguise, because once he moved to UCLA, I actually got a chance to get an apartment out here in Los Angeles, North Hollywood. And the journey started from there. I started talking to everybody that was in our network. I actually, through Justin's network, I actually met Neil. And at the time, Neil had a girlfriend named Zoe. And Zoe, which is to this day, is still my best friend. And my first client was French, Montana. I messed up on his plane about 3 to 4 times consecutively, you know what I mean? And I learned from my mistakes. And then from there, I took it from there. Now, 7 years later into the business, last year I completed almost 280 jets. This year I'm still pushing forward, even due to the corona. I'm now doing jet acquisitions as far as like selling aircrafts, and I'm just going from there.
Yeah, hey, what's up? Some of your clients.
Yeah, okay. You said you had a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Paul. I'll ask in a minute.
No, I would say, so can you name some of your clients? I saw a high profile list.
Yeah, I got anywhere from the Kardashians. I chartered the Kardashians, Tiger, Chris Brown, Diddy, Meek Mill is one of my close friends and a client of mine as well. Sorry. And basically, Scott Disick. I mean, almost everybody in the game when it comes to celebrity-wise, I probably did a jet for. I did a jet for the Forbes Media Group. I did a jet for Ashton Kutcher. I did a jet for DJ Mustard. A lot of people.
So that means they don't own the jets like a lot of them say they do. Because a lot of them act like they own the jets.
Nah, they don't own the jets. We most people charter it out. It's actually cheaper to charter it out than owning it because owning a jet comes with a nice expensive cost, especially on a month-to-month basis.
All right, DJ Period.
Yeah, just if we got anybody listening that want to get into the business, when you say you messed up French Montana, what you mean? How you messed it up?
So basically, he ordered a plane and he asked me for a certain size, and I gave him a smaller size than what he requested. I think that was the first messed up. Then the second messed up, it was basically he wanted to go to a closer airport. And then I got him going to a way further airport, so he had to take a drive in an SUV. That was the second messed up. Then the third messed up was, I think, the plane size again. But I to be honest with you, I had to learn from my mistakes. I
feel you. That's why I asked you that. I want to know.
I'm glad I messed up with him. You know what I mean? It's to the point where it's like, we messed up, but we fixed it real quick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I hear you though.
It's still a jet, so they can't trip too hard. Like they still got a jet
Yeah,
at the end
but
of the day.
you know, it's if you're paying a certain amount of money and you basically, you know, you want what you want. You know what I'm saying? Especially at a high caliber level like him, you want what you want. So you trusted me as a broker to basically get you the best price, give you the information, and get you what you want, and fly you there safe.
All right. Then Aaron, I want you to talk about yourself because I read that you're a classically trained cellist, an instrument, and then you got into entrepreneurship. So I want you to talk about that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started playing the cello. So I'm a classically trained cellist, level 5 cellist on the minimum scale. Started playing when I was 8 years old. Was like concert orchestra, section leader, chamber orchestra, sectional leader. So it's just something that assisted me a lot as I began to grow professionally and also during high school because I was able to really focus. Classical music teaches you to focus, it gives you discipline, and it also kind of ingrains a lot of good tendencies and habits in you. So that was something that kind of translated well into business when I started pursuing different entrepreneurial ventures for sure.
That's tight. So how did y'all end up getting together and coming with the book?
So originally I started my career in finance and then eventually at JP Morgan. Then eventually after a few years I got into recruitment. And I was in recruitment. I was at a top firm in the city, built it out to like multi-millions in like 24 months. It was great, but eventually wanted to get into venture capital. So I wanted to be like the guys on Shark Tank. So the best way to do that was to position myself as an advisor to CEOs. And that's when I began advising the CEO of a all-in-one mobile application company by the name of Vomos. And that's where PJ Kev was there as the Rainmaker producer, producing millions every year in jet charters. And we became partners. I was put on board as a partner. And at that point, I assumed a position at some point as Kev's business manager. And then eventually, we just wanted to build out a more robust portfolio of business ventures because Kev's future was just far too bright to be limited to only one vertical or one line of business. So that's when Kev wanted to take a brand that he created for himself, PJ Kev approved, and form a company. And with that, I joined him from the company. And from there, we started just building out a ton of different ventures within that holding company. And so we thought that it just made a lot of sense eventually because Kev was always very passionate, and I'll let Kev get to it in a second. He's always passionate about bridging the information gap, coming from underserved communities like we do, coming from areas where there's a highly concentrated population of people of color where we don't necessarily have access to certain information. And in order to be like the people on Shark Tank, in order to be around the top investors and around those people who've been able to grow businesses and become millionaires and billionaires, you have to have access to information. So it's not necessarily always that feasible to get in the room because they say it's not always what you know, it's who you know. But what if you can't get in the room with the important people? You have to know something. So the goal was to bridge the information gap and give people access to tools and resources so that they'd be able to start their own business ventures, be able to seek out funds, be able to raise money from investors. The book is called How to Get Funding for Your Startup. So it's pretty self-explanatory.
But then I guess that's the question too. How much money are y'all talking about? Like how much money you think they even need?
It depends.
You know, they got that stimulus money right now.
You want to jump into that, Cap?
Yeah, it depends on what business you're in. I think, the name of the game for us, or what we grew up to know, is basically use your own cash to fund your business. But in the other side of the world, OPM, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Other people's money. And, people don't really understand that, and that's why I've been teaching like financial literacy. People don't understand that to get what you want, and as far as your business goes, you always have to use some sort of OPM, whether it's credit, whether it's credit line, whether it's business loan, whether it's investors. It's always has to come from other people's money because it helps you leverage your own cash. And a lot of people don't understand, that mentality. So we just try to showcase that and bridge the gap from the people that don't know about the information that's willing to learn in a book.
What's up? I would say, what y'all remind me of Nipsey. So what y'all think about Nipsey?
I think Nipsey was dope. I think all his ideas made sense, especially for what he was, discussing about and for what he was preaching. And I think he was he was our form of bridging a gap in the music culture. And I think, what he done and what what he was preaching about is something to take forth into the longevity of the future of the kids, of the minorities in different, different communities. And I think what he was doing for his neighborhood was just amazing as far as, just basically going back into the neighborhood, investing back into the neighborhood. I just think that, when you in that path, when you going in that level, I don't think you could associate yourself and you could hang around that same type of people, because the mentality of them still is not understanding what your vision and what you're trying to do. You know what I mean? So you always have to elevate the people that you surround yourself with.
Yeah, and even just to, my apologies. No, I was saying just to piggyback off that a little bit, as far as it goes with someone like Nipsey, it's like the game needed someone like Nipsey for quite some time, right? Someone who was extremely influential in the music, but was also all about self-fulfillment and being able to progress and move forward. The only downside about things like that is that people don't necessarily, they're not necessarily as receptive because they're not ready for it. So to give you a good example, once before, Meek Mill was in an interview and he was referencing how so many people in the past never thought it was cool to be able to dance or to smile or to have a good time. But with, the prominence and popularity of PJ Kev, people are now getting a lot more comfortable with dancing and still being able to say, hey, look, I'm cool, I'm fine, I'm dancing, I'm having a good time, I'm still doing business, I'm enjoying life. And it was the same thing with Nipsey, whereas it wasn't as acceptable to discuss like the business side of things and put it on the forefront as it relates to your music. It wasn't as acceptable to discuss your publishing, to discuss your royalties, to discuss going independent, because people didn't understand the business side. So he created a sense of acceptability around raising awareness when it came to understanding your business. It's not just the artistry, it's the business that matters. Because at the end of the day, why do people salute Jay-Z? Why do people salute Puff? It's because they are extremely calculated with how they construct the business deals. They make sure they own the masters, they make sure they own the publishing. There's so many people out there who rap who don't even understand exactly what publishing is, understand the sides to royalties, from the publisher to the songwriter and things of that nature, to the performing royalties, to mechanical royalties versus licensing royalties. So Nipsey urged people to actually start thinking in that direction.
So you in music too? Sound like you in music.
Yeah, we dabble.
So y'all got some artists y'all working with?
Yeah, in the future we will be.
Yeah, I interviewed this guy today. His name is Ari Hairstan, and he has a book called How to Succeed in a New Business. So he's talking about like new business model, how to succeed. So he had a concept talking about asking versus begging. So I want to say, like, what's the difference between, somebody comes to you to ask them about something, but when they're begging, what's the difference between that for y'all?
I think when someone comes on asking, they're more inquisitive because they did their research. Sometimes when you ask the question, they said there's no such thing as a dumb question, but I think there's a such thing as a repetitive question. Mm-hmm. Asking the same question over and over again, that means you haven't done your research to basically find the answer. If you couldn't find the answer, then you ask someone that actually knows the answer. Begging is basically just indefinitely basically just asking someone to do something over and over again when you haven't really tried it for yourself. So basically, how I look at it is, if someone comes to me and asks me a question of how can I be successful, or how can I be successful in the private aviation business, I'll say, well, the first thing you did is, have you done your research about the private aviation business? Is this something that you really want to do? For instance, for example, another beggar will come and be like, hey, give me the keys, give me the ideas about the private aviation business. You know what I'm saying? So it's a different perspective when you look at it like that.
Yeah, and then what if somebody comes to you like, hey, I want to take you out to dinner, and then talk to you like that, like, I'm going to take you out to dinner to chill. Wouldn't that be better anyway than just asking?
I mean, it depends.
Like, they want to give you some value.
It depends. I mean, dinner.
Yeah, that gets dicey.
Yeah, I look at it like this. A lot of people hit us up every single day, and they ask questions, and they want to do this, they want to do that. I'm real selective of who I spend my time with. I think any successful business person is real selective of who you spend your time with. So I'm not just accepting dinner from anybody. You know what I'm saying?
I know they probably try to rob you, huh?
Yeah, it's like, you know, for me personally, I just don't, you know, I'm just real conservative on who I spend my time with. It got to be like super duper beneficial for the both of us. And for me, you know what I mean? Because I value my time.
Correct. That's the most invaluable commodity. You know what I mean? I mean, at the end of the day, people don't really place enough intrinsic value on exactly how they allocate their time. And the minute that you do that, you're just diminishing your own worth. So it's important.
Hey, that y'all making sense, man. Look, I meant to say something to you because you said you was recruiting at J.P. Morgan, man. I used to recruit. I was part of a recruiting at the Barclays, and I live in Brooklyn, New York, and
very nice,
man. But this is my thing with that, but it kind of makes sense. You know, at those firms, they only recruit from like Brown, Yale, Harvard, Dartmouth. They ain't going to LIU Brooklyn. They ain't going to Brooklyn College. They ain't going to those colleges to find people. But it might be somebody at Brooklyn College or LIU that might have that same, might have what they're looking for. But since the game is so like, look, I got to make sure I got the best of the best, because if I hire this person at $50K and give them a $25K bonus, Barclays might come and give them $80K and a $15,000 bonus. I'm gonna lose that person. So they kind of try to take the people who know the theories and everything about the financial industry over somebody who might have hands-on practical application. But like you said, so you real selective about who you want to give the game to. So I think those banks do the same thing. It's like, well, I can't get just anybody from any old college to come work for my firm. But in a way, I think it's messed up too, though.
Yeah, no, it is. So I'll tell you, right? So initially, I started my career as an analyst at J.P. Morgan. Then eventually, I left and I got into recruiting. Then I started my own recruiting firm. But the way that I kind of positioned myself was as a career coach as well as a recruiter. So while I was recruiting top-tier talent, I was also identifying people that just needed a little bit of a push, a little bit of a nudge, so they could have the competitive edge. So right now, I'm actually an adjunct professor and career coach at Kingsborough Community College in Manhattan.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We're serving a community of people coming from underserved, communities. A lot of students in there, students of color from East Flatbush, coming from Brownsville, coming from East New York, et cetera, so on and so forth. And it's a beautiful thing because you're able to identify people who have all the potential in the world, but just really need a little bit of grooming so that they can take things to the next level. Because in the defense of people who recruit from the Browns and the Harvards and the Dartmouths, they're just looking for top-tier talent. And of course, you can find a diamond in the rough elsewhere, but that diamond in the rough has to shine first. So that's my job to make sure.
No, definitely. Sure.
I want y'all to talk about y'all other ventures, because I know, I want to say, Aaron, I saw you had a 30-day CEO program.
Oh, yeah. See, 30-day CEO, it didn't launch yet. It's about to launch.
Oh, okay.
But as far as like the other ventures, I have a consulting firm. We for business consulting across the whole gamut. So executive coaching, career coaching, sales training. We do communication strategy, PR. But then on the other side of things, actually operates as a brand consultant for different organizations and different businesses, so they can strategize on how to increase their presence digitally, social media. You want to go into that a little bit?
Yeah. So basically, I've been working on several different business ventures, and I feel like there's a way right now is a need for brand consulting and marketing. A lot of people don't understand the difference between marketing and branding. And I think I know the difference between marketing and branding. So I think those are the services that I could offer to different businesses. So we started working with different brand consultants. We're doing a lot of brand things for like Benjamin Hot Chocolate, what we got in Africa, and basically just helping them basically take their brand to the next level.
Okay. Because one thing that remains consistent across the board is that because of social media, so many brands are struggling for one reason: inconsistency with their messaging, right? Because when you're trying to reach people via social media, you have to have a certain kind of message, the Gen Zs and millennials. And if you're trying to reach people through traditional media channels, more of an integrated marketing style, where there's PR, there's traditional TV, there's just promotions, like tangible physical promotions, billboards, that's completely different because you're reaching a different demographic. So one thing that we've been able to kind of hone in on is identifying, tell a consistent story via social media to grab the Gen Z and millennials and be able to infiltrate and then jump over into the other target audiences at the same time. And that's something that Kev was able to do pretty well throughout the duration of his career. When he started out, it was all grassroots organic growth. Today, Kev, how many followers do you have right now on Instagram?
143,000.
Yeah, 143,000.
I would say what I like the most, cause I saw the PDF, I saw the impressions. You got like over 4 million impressions.
Yeah.
So that means you're getting a lot of engagement too.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you doing? You on there doing TikTok and stuff or what?
It's crazy. I just made a TikTok yesterday. So I wasn't even on TikTok.
Yeah, they say that's Autism Awareness Foundation's new brand name. It's TikTok.
Sure
there was a meme that came out trying to make fun of TikTok. They said it's the new business name for the American Autism Association.
That's funny.
Oh, man.
That's funny. But basically, the way I get a lot of impressions is I just try to give value, and I try to spread that value, and then I get a lot of retweets for the value that I give on my page. That's one way I get a lot of impressions. Another way is I try to cross-market platforms. So if I'm marketing something on Instagram, I try to market it on Twitter and my LinkedIn and then my Facebook page. That's another way I get a lot of impressions. And then basically just people reposting my information or my picture.
I'm gonna say, like since the coronavirus happened, what are some like shifts y'all might have did as far as like your lifestyle or like investments and stuff like that?
I think since Corona hit, we basically, for us, it's like a reset and we getting things tighter. So it's to the point of the time where we're just restructuring everything. I think in these times, the two things you need to be doing is restructure and basically gaining as much value information that you need for your business. A lot of people, so when I first, heard about the Corona, I was like, well, and it is a negative situation, but how do I turn this negative into a positive situation?
Yeah.
So I started, buying books, started learning about different documentaries. I started watching different documentaries. I started basically restructuring my business. So creating a new website, getting articles done, things that I feel like I couldn't have done if the Corona wasn't in place, because now we have time to really focus on these things. So I think it's time to restructure. I think it's a restructuring time, restructuring period. I think it's also a time to gain a lot of information for your business. And then there's a time to basically start new businesses, start thinking about how you can implement new ideas. So if you're in e-commerce, how you can add more products. If you're in real estate, how you can find the next best deal and wholesale the next best deal. So I think it's for any business, it's always a good way to restructure and reinvent yourself.
Absolutely, and then also just to piggyback off that, the biggest thing, and I know Kev's gonna definitely say like, nope, I remember that when the coronavirus came about, right? We didn't know how serious it was. At that time, Kev was even in the country, right? So Kev came back for a day, had a photo shoot. We were uptown. He had the photo shoot. Left, went back to where he was, to the Bahamas. He came from the Bahamas for the photo shoot for one day, went back to the Bahamas. Yeah. And then when he came back to New York, we were like, okay, so the game plan, because it's very serious now, is we need to focus on what the most powerful form of currency is right now, aside from time. And that's content. That's social media. Impressions are currency. Because if you can remember what you just referenced and what you alluded to, in the deck on the PDF, impressions. Now, we all know from a branding perspective, right? If you bring these impressions to someone and you can pull up those analytics and those reports, you can easily lock down a branding deal, right? Impressions are currency. And when you're living in an age right now where people can't, it's 79 degrees in New York City right now. You can't go outside and play ball. So what are you doing? You're inside and you're either on Netflix or you're scrolling on IG or you're on Facebook, one of the three. Or you're playing video games. So with that, we just identified the opportunity in the market, and we've been working a lot on our content development and also ensuring that there's some great content out there to be consumed from the PJ Kelvin team. And, you know, be on the lookout. Little surprise for everyone in 2 weeks. Drop some bombs real quick.
Hey, who cutting your hair, man? Look at me. I'm in Brooklyn. I need a haircut, bro.
I actually used to be a barber.
Man,
Okay.
So this is.
I just got like a little trim down, but I was looking too crazy. I had to get shaped up a little bit, man.
That's me. I'm like, I gotta get something, man.
Yeah,
I feel crazy.
How big is y'all team?
We have a solid team. We actually do a lot of independent. We try to keep the team as small as possible, keep it more conservative. But we do work with a lot of independent contractors and independent people.
Consultants and contractors. I mean, one thing that I can say from because you don't want to. Okay, they say insanity is when you do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. I went from being a 2-person operation a few years back when I started a firm to having like close to 30 people when I left the firm. Mm-hmm. And one thing that remains consistent is with more people, even if you're making more money, it doesn't make sense all the time. You have to ask yourself this, right? Would you rather deal with a staff of 20 people with 20 individual sets of lifestyles and problems making, 20 M's? Or would you rather deal with a staff of 5 making 10 M's?
Yeah.
So I guess what do y'all look for when y'all do bring somebody to the team or even contract with someone? What are some traits y'all look for?
Tenacity, a track record. Because of course you never want anyone who can't really back it up, right? There's so many people who say things, especially in the age of social media. Everything's fog and mirrors. People will say, I've done this, I've done that, I've done this, I've done that. And, you can go to their page and they have tons of followers, but that means nothing. You have to show me or have someone vouch for your accomplishments and be able to back it up. And, Kev is even more of a stickler, so I'll let Kev get his requirements.
I mean, I just look at what have you done in the past, who have you worked with in the past that I know, if any. I also look at, track record. Also look at, basically, can you really do what you say you could do? I think, like Aaron said, a lot of people say things, but they can't really back it up. And I also try to just work with the best people now. I'm at a point of time right now where, I only want to work with the best, even if it costs more. I think it's just, when it comes to building your brand and building your business, I think working with the best is, eventually the best solution, in my opinion, because, you can't really lose too much. You might be paying a little bit more, but, every time you try to get a discount or you try to get something for a cheaper price, something either happens.
Cheaper results.
Yeah. So,
I know, quality of everything.
I just try to work with the best now. That's
Correct.
That's my thing, working with the best.
Correct.
What's up? DJ Perry, you had any questions?
You know what I do. Look, this question for both of y'all. Man, I kind of got 2 questions. So, like just advice you give anybody that's wanted to just get into any type of business. I think we had a question in the chat. I don't really know what they meant by the question, but they were just saying like, how can certain people who may have been in this country for a less amount of time can get a business jumping and people who've been here all their lives can't. That's one thing. And then the second thing I always ask everybody that come on the show, if you could sit down with anybody in history for the day and talk to them, who would you choose and what would you ask them?
So let's go back to your first question. So foreigners come to the country and they start a business, and people that was resident is basically citizens of Americans can't. That was the question.
Yeah.
I think foreigners have a different kind of hustle. Number one.
I believe that too, living here.
Yeah. Number one, I think where we as Americans, when I say we as American citizens, I think a lot of resources is so much about disposal that we don't take advantage of it. You know what I mean? But when we come from a foreign country, we look at these resources as opportunities. like, oh my gosh, this is accessible. I'm gonna just take advantage of everything.
Yep.
We don't know how long we can be. That's one.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know what I'm saying? And so to answer your second question, right now where I'm at in life, I think I'll sit down with Warren Buffett. And the reason why I'll sit down with Warren Buffett right now, and what I would ask him is, if he was to start all over again, and he's at the age of 18, what would he do different, and what would he do and the same with the knowledge that he knows today? And the reason I would ask him that is because everybody has a track history of what they have been doing over and over again, especially if they're super successful, right? But I want to know, at a young age, what did you do to shape your life for the generational wealth for the future?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Boeing Jets. So you study Boeing Jets?
Yeah, I got stock in Boeing.
Yeah. You still buying stock? Are y'all still buying stock now? Because I know a lot of people kind of like.
Yeah,
I'm
stock, but I'm looking at the markets. Like, so what I'm doing is the certain stocks that I'm looking into to get, and I don't call it stocks no more. Like Warren Buffett, I was watching an interview. I'm buying companies. I'm buying businesses.
Right.
But I'm buying businesses that basically I think and I believe that relates to me in my industry, and basically who has the longevity and the long history of not really going bankrupt. And what I mean by that is companies like Amazon, companies like Boeing, companies like Uber, companies like Netflix. These are the stocks that I believe, I don't think in our generation is going anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that, people should always buy stocks that they believe in and they use. You know what I mean?
You don't see nothing coming up taking Netflix out?
Not no time soon. I mean, the amount of money they got.
I think they can make a more personalized. They can make some more personalized, I think. They can make some based off what you like. I think that's going to be the next step of it. It's going to be more.
But that's already embedded within the Netflix capabilities.
They
take into account what you like. Because you watch this, you should watch this. Because I'll be frank with you, right? My favorite movies, Shatas, Paid in Full, right? So the movies that come up on my Netflix are typically like crime dramas or movies of that genre, right? That come up. Like recently, I just watched Deuces with Lorenz Tate and Lance Gross. Not sure if you guys saw it. Megan Good's in it too. Essentially, it's one of those kind of crime dramas. It's like they took the movie Power and put it in. They took the TV show Power and put it into an hour and 30 minutes. Right?
It's on Netflix right now?
It's on Netflix, called Deuces, featuring Lorenz Tate.
Right.
Yeah, check that out, Deuces. But I say all of that to say there is definitely an opportunity for another company to come in and knock Netflix off. And that company is going to be one that's focused on short form TV and film, as opposed to people having access to like full length TV shows, full length movies and things of that nature on platforms like Netflix. People want the quick hits now. People want to go to short form platforms. Snapchat's providing that novelty, Quibi's providing that novelty, and eventually I think Disney Plus is going to provide that novelty as well, because people's attention spans are so short that it makes sense to get a quick hit. If you can get a low production cost project, right? That's a TV show or a movie that costs the fraction of what it costs to put a movie together, and you can actually put that out there at, like, let's say if it's a TV show, 7-minute to 8-minute episodes, and then you can put 2 advertisements in there, so you're making the ad revenue, and then you're taking the data from the profile user who's actually signing up for that, and you're curating exactly what you're pushing out there. Number one, you have a data pulling play. You can sell that to marketing companies. Number two, you have the ad revenue play, so you're generating revenue. And number three, you're getting many, many, many streams, because ultimately people can just watch it very quickly. They don't have to commit to it. So when you're binging a show like that, that's a 2-hour binge as opposed to a weekend binge. So it just increases content consumption, especially in times like these where we're not going to be going to live events or the movies or anything too mixy until like September 2021.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you could sit down with anybody, who would that be? in history?
History? I mean, that would take a lot of racket of my brain. It'd be irresponsible for me to say in history. I'll go to present day. I'd say Robert F. Smith. Robert F. Smith specifically because he's just done some remarkable things within the private equity space, and what he did for those Morehouse grads, wiping away their debt and their student loans was incredible. He's a Black man. He's a billionaire. He's someone who I aspire to emulate down the line, and God willing, we can get there one day.
Do you think people in that status or in that capacity should do things like that for people in this country?
I don't think anyone should do anything when it comes to philanthropy. I think it's noble to do that, and even just based on social responsibility when you think about it, right? When you're referencing, why do people work so hard when they come to this country? I'm the child of immigrant parents. I'm first generation. My parents come from Jamaica. And I get it. It's because, like Kev said, it's an opportunity. You leave somewhere else, you come here, you can't sit down, you can't chill.
True.
You have to grind. Your parents didn't come. My parents moved here in the middle of the crack epidemic, Southside Jamaica, Queens.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like you can't come here to chill.
You ain't playing around out there, man. You gotta.
Yeah, you can't come. You have to hustle. You have to grind, and that's.
You're not playing in that era.
No, so so if your parents come here during that time, you need to raise the level of excellence and up the ante, and that's the reason why. People who come from other countries can't chill, because 9 times out of 10, you don't come from another country and go chill in the suburbs. You end up moving to an impoverished area, and the only thing is to hustle. And that's embedded within people.
Out here in New York City, I tell people, man, like the West Indians and the Jews, they almost like they competing with each other right now. Because look, man, like in the city, like my wife, she work in the city, so a lot of West Indians, Jamaicans, Haitians. I'm drawing a blank, but everybody from West Indies, man, when they get in, they bring in their family or they bring in their people in there with them because they know they got work ethic. They know they got hard work. Now it's filtered down. Everybody like, damn, this person is a hard worker, or this person is this and they hustlers. Look, a dollar van that's a hustler's. A hustler thought of that. Like, hey man, these buses don't take you where you need to go exactly. I'm gonna get a van from the hotel they don't want the van no more. I'm gonna drive that shit up and down Flatbush Avenue for $2, and I'm gonna take you to the exact location that you want, so you don't gotta walk when you get off the bus. Yeah, and they hate on it because it takes a lot of money away from the city. Like some days you go to work, you're like, okay, the cops is pulling over dollar van as soon as you leave the house. You're like, damn. If I see 3 dollar vans pulled over, I'm like, all right, man, it's gonna be a horrible day trying to get down Flatbush, because they pick and choose what days they gonna come in like to bother them. But
regulating.
But that's a hustler's dream right there. It's like, damn, how can I find a way to get this money? But look, nobody who was born in the U.S. thought of that. All this time New York been around, they didn't think about that. But you got this dude that came from Jamaica, like, you know what? I'm about to ride this hotel shuttle down Flatbush or Utica to get this money.
That's a hustler spirit right there. That's a hustle.
They be getting paid too.
And you know what's interesting too about the philanthropic side of things too that you mentioned is that not everybody has an obligation to do it, but you at least should do it if you can. I mean, when Kev goes back to Ghana every year, he's an active board member on the KJM Foundation, where they're providing different resources and clean and fresh water for villages in West Africa, more specifically in Ghana, which is beautiful, because at the end of the day, you could just literally just go back to Ghana and just chill. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
You want to comment on that a little bit, Kev?
Yeah, I think so. The reason why I go back to Ghana a lot, and I try to show, with the people that follow me on social media and social, I try to show them basically the real, depiction about Africa and West, and I try to show it in Ghana. I think a lot of people understand when they hear Africa, they think about flies on your face, they think about people with big bellies, but they don't get to see the luxury of Ghana. So I decided to partner with the KJM Foundation to also give back. So when I go there, I have a purpose. So I give back to people in the villages to clean water, also help with supplies that they need. And it's crazy because the look on their face is just priceless when you do something like that. I also started, I'm working on a documentary called This is Ghana. Actually, the trailer is now on YouTube, so you can go on YouTube and type This is Ghana documentary. It's actually one of my partners out there called Danny Wonders, and he has a production company called Wonder Vision. And we decided to depict the definition of Ghana and to take it around the world, around Africa, actually. So This is Ghana is a depiction of arts, music, culture, real estate, and we want to just show you guys basically what Africa and what Ghana is about. And I think, it's needed. It's definitely needed, especially with, a lot of celebrities coming back to Ghana. Last year we had the year return. It was a success. And I think, it's time to basically just give more information out there about Africa. I think it's been, it's something that's been hidden in our history books, but we haven't really got the real definition behind it. And it's time to, someone to basically depict the real definition.
Yeah. And it also brings us a lot closer together, because when you think about the diaspora and you really do your research, most people who come from the Caribbean and a lot of the people who landed in the South, they all came from West Africa. So that's really where it all started. Hence the year of the return for everyone who's a part of the diaspora.
Mm-hmm.
All sisters at our roots. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank y'all for coming through.
Appreciate you guys, man.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. I appreciate you guys.
Anything y'all want to leave listeners with?
Stay consistent. Stay blessed. I know it might be tough times right now, but use this time, like I said, to restructure and reinvent your business.
Absolutely. And what I would say is the key thing to success is to remember to value your time once again. So anything that you can do today that you haven't done yet, that you know you can do today, that you wait until tomorrow to do, you're diminishing the value of your time and your efforts. Respect your time, respect your effort. If you can get it done today. If you wait, your time is worth less.
And what's y'all social media, and then what's the book's website?
Social media is at PJKev. That's PJKEV.
At AM as in Michael Wilson, AM Wilson, 2 underscores. And you can find the book at www.pjkev.com.